In this episode 330 of Calorie Deficiency, I did a lot of research. And one of the things that I picked up in that a lot of people don't understand the definitions of calorie deficiency. How do I add that up? How do I know how many calories I'm taking in? How do I make it deficient? What do I have to do to achieve this? And we're going to discuss that. Now, about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I lost 65 pounds. Most of this was done through calorie deficiency and fasting, intermediate fasting. I found out that those two combinations worked for me tremendously. In the beginning, it was an effort that was difficult. I believe in the beginning you have to detox from more of the toxins in your body, especially sugar, which is tremendous to set you back in. And it's a discipline that you have to start setting in your mindset. Not necessarily eating for pleasure, but eating for survival. And enjoying it as you go through this long journey. Because you see, this plan of reducing weight and being healthier is not a temporary thing. This is not about, I'm going to the party, so I gotta lose some weight. Yeah. No, this is a life commitment. If not, you'll end up gaining weight again and probably making it even much more difficult the second, third, fourth, fifth time around. I found that the intermediate fasting, and we're going to have a program on that one, helped me out tremendously. Both of them together, it might not work for you. Maybe you have something that works for you. I can only give the testimony on what worked for me. I ended up losing 65 pounds. I did find some of those back, mostly through an injury that I have that made me retire in 2016, a knee injury. And it becomes a little bit more difficult to get accomplished the things I have to get accomplished. But I believe this should be a lifestyle. Early on in my life, I also took the opportunity to be in martial arts. And that is also a way of life. And you have to have that discipline to say, I've got to get this done. And there is no time limit. And should not be any pressure on yourself to get this done. But as long as you get it done. So let's break it down. What the deficiency in your calories is going to do for you is going to burn fat. Okay? You're going to eat so many calories, but that calories in your system, you're going to burn more of it off than you digested. In essence, you have to come up with the formula. That formula, a lot of people don't understand. It's a simple one. And you're going to take your intake about 10 to 12 pounds, okay, per your weight. So example, if you weigh 185 pounds and you're going to add 10 pounds to each, your calories should be about 1850, right? Give or take. If you think that that's not enough, you can go up to 12 pounds and times that by your weight. That should give you the amount of calories you should be ingesting and intaking. Now, it sounds simple, but a lot of people don't understand, if I eat this, how many grams of whatever it's giving me in my calorie intake. And it becomes more confusing. One thing that I did was I just ate less. I knew I was in a deficiency. And again, the intermediate fasting would help out. And the last key to this is the workout. And the workout is based on what you can do. Okay? If you can't run, don't run. Walk. If you can't lift weights because you have a bad shoulder and arm, do something else. Do squats. If you can't do squats if you got bad legs, do something else. But as long as you're doing something. So, 10 to 12 pounds, and you're going to multiply that by your weight. That gives you a calorie intake that you'll be doing. And understanding that at some point while you're doing these calorie intake things, understanding that you're going to be stagnated at one point. You'll start getting some results. A couple pounds, 4 or 5 pounds, motivate you to keep on going. And at one point, your body's going to start going into survival mode and it's going to stagnate. Now, monitoring yourself on the scale is important because it should give you a measuring stick as to where you are. It should not be that thing that constantly disappoints you, like, oh my gosh, it hasn't moved an inch. That means your body now is surviving and it's keeping you at that consistent weight. So you might have to adjust, okay? When you're a baseball player and you can't hit the ball and you're in a slump, you have to make some adjustments. Maybe you got to choke up on the bat a little bit more. Maybe you got to change your stance to hit the ball. You got to do something to get out of the slump, and here's no difference. If you're in that stagnant that you cannot lose any more weight, then you're going to have to change the game, which means you're probably going to have to go lower on your calorie intake to be more deficient, or increase your workout so you burn more fat. But something has to be done, okay? And that should kick-start it all over again. I would use a very conservative timetable to look for results. When I lost 65 pounds, it was way over a year. This was not done by within a week. It was slow, and the less I thought about it, the easier it became. The more I thought about not achieving the weight I wanted, the more difficult it became to do. And I just did my thing. You can do the same thing. It's within your reach. And a lot of discipline. Got to cut out some things. And I wouldn't cut anything out. I would make them very small portions. A lot of people say, well, I can't cut out alcohol, for example. Well, if you drink a lot of alcohol, it's going to be very difficult to get this done. So I'm not here to bang you over the head and say, don't do it. I'm here to say, do a lot less of it so you can succeed. But you gotta get results, because without it, you're going to just flounder. So cardio is another thing. A lot of people think that cardio when you're in calorie deficiency, is going to work. In actuality, it's pretty much useless. And the reason for that is lifting weights is better. Okay, muscle is something that you have to develop in your weight loss. Why? Because muscle weighs more than fat. and you have to maintain and tone your muscle. So doing resistance training is probably the most important thing. Don't cut out cardio all the way. We'll give you a little recipe on what may work for you. But toning your muscles and being in deficiency is important. Another thing is, now people say, well, do I eat before I work out? No, you shouldn't. And if you're doing intermediate fasting, definitely stay away from any food and continue fasting in your workout. That will blow up your muscles. And then you can have your meal. Now remember what I told you, you're eating to survive. But the more you're in calorie deficiency and the more you prolong your fasting period as you get better at it, these meals start to taste like New York steaks. I don't care what you're eating. It's good because you have less of it now and the body is happy. Here's a couple of things that you should concentrate when you're on it. This, I don't want to call it a diet, but where does your mind go during this period that you're trying to have less calories, burn more fat, and possibly go into intermediate fasting and working out? Putting all these things together. Well, you should be thinking about chicken, beef, fish, fibers or vegetables, carbs, fruits, coffee, tea, or water. You need water, right? These are the elements that you should, on a daily basis. I'm going to eat chicken today. How are you going to eat your chicken? What portions are you going to have? They should be smaller than you used to have. And beef and fish and breaking it up. The issue with trying to figure out all this and getting the app that says weigh the amount of beef that you're ingesting and we'll give you how many grams. Oh my God, are you serious? Just eat less of it. Eat it, but eat less of it. And it's going to help you out. Weight training, right? If you're going to do weights, you don't have to do a lot of heavy weights. You do resistance, right? Sometimes they take a simple 20-pound dumbbell and I'm lifting it up. I'm not going to try to lift it up all the way. I'm going to lift it up halfway and hold it and bring it down and hold it. So my muscles are constantly always under that stress of up and down, up and down, up and down, instead of going all the way up and all the way down, all the way up and all the way down. There's barely no resistance in that. So smaller strokes give you a little bit more resistance. 3 days a week at least on resistance training or weight training. Carbs should be at least cardio should be at least twice a week. Riding the bicycle, walking, maybe picking up the pace when you're walking out in the street. If you're on a treadmill, picking up the pace a little bit. And most important, which a lot of people fail with the hustle and bustle of life, is sleep. Getting 7 to 8 hours or more of sleep is important because while you're sleeping, the body is renewing itself. Lack of sleep will put on weight. So it's important that you understand sleeping is a very important opponent in this whole thing. You know, the labels on stuff that you eat, and it usually tells you how many fat, and carbs, and all this information. Statistics say that 20% of those labels are wrong. So it's kind of hard to do the math on bad math. So eat smaller portions. Not to the point that you're starving yourself, but if you're going to eat a little bit more because you enjoy that specific meal, that means you're going to work out a little bit harder so you can have that little bit more. Some things you might cut back on, right? I love bread. God, boy, do I love bread. But I'm going to have less of it. But I shouldn't cut it out completely, because when you punish yourself, don't eat this, don't eat that, don't eat the other thing, you fail. You fail. I mean, a lot of us have to cut out everything that we grew up on eating. Are you serious? It's not going to happen. So eat less of it, and it should get you on that road. Intermediate fasting is important. Some people, you should always check with your physician on whatever your plan is going to be. The calorie deficiency is, remember, 10 to 12 pounds times that by your weight. That's how much your calorie intake should be. And then you got to work out, and you've got to put it all together. Also pushing yourself. Do things that you have been forever in a day flustering around, not doing and prolonging it. Just doing is helping you also out and being more healthier. And when you push yourself to do things, like, I got to get this done, I got to get that done, I got to get this done, once you finish it, you have that sense of accomplishment. Recently myself and Eminem, we, after a 2-year hiatus, looking at our garage that looked like Sanford and Son, we decided to take on having shelves put in and organizing our garage. It's awesome. We can actually walk through there now. And when you tackle on these projects that you have pending, and everybody has them, you start feeling accomplished, and that mindset carries you in to your calorie deficit and the other programs that you might incorporate in your healthier weight loss, whatever you want to call it. I don't even want to call it a diet, because it sounds like it's punishment. But it helps you out in your mindset. You're getting things accomplished. Just waking up in the morning and doing your bed is the first part of that accomplishment. And going out and accomplishing more and more things. Small at first, but that mindset of accomplishment is so, so important. So, I hope you got something from this episode. I know I did. You can never do enough research, and I would recommend that you always do. Sometimes you look at things with a different pair of eyes or a different lens years later, and all of a sudden the research has changed a little bit, and you find out a little bit more information, and it makes this journey a lot easier. So, hopefully you got a lot of understanding on what we discussed. Up next, we have episode 331, and at least 3 days a week. We'll talk about that. It's part of your New Year's resolution and being more healthier. We're going to discuss 3 days, at least 3 days a week, on episode 331. January 22nd, episode 332, Eminem will be on the show, and we're going to discuss first shots with Eminem, and the 9mm carbine that I showed you a little while ago. If you're looking at it from the video feed, and she'll be on to discuss how exciting that was. We went to the range, outdoor range, here in Tampa Bay, and I left Eminem running the carbine all by herself. And about 300 rounds later, nothing but smiles over there in the corner. Nothing but smiles. So we're going to talk about that. And our last episode for January 29th, episode 333, shoot, don't shoot, what goes through the body, what goes through the mind, what is the anxiety, when you should shoot or when you shouldn't shoot, and we'll discuss that as well. So hopefully you picked up some good info here, and we want you to continue. Remember, if you need to have your gun fixed, look no further to my friend down in South Florida in Miami, Pistol Pete the Gunsmith. His information is down in the bottom of the show notes. You can look up Pistol Pete. He was my armorer when I was in law enforcement, and my life was in his hands. And boy, did he take care of me. Today, he runs one of the most successful armorer stores or businesses in America. Pistol Pete the Gunsmith. Highly recommended by me. Give him a call. He'll make that gun look brand new. You won't even recognize it. In fact, sometime this year, Pistol Pete will be getting some of my business. Man, I got to upgrade some stuff too, buddy, every once in a while. So, Pistol Pete the Gunsmith. If you're in the New Jersey area and you're looking to get that concealed weapons course, look no further. My friend Karis down there, Sepulveda Inc., Firearms Training, he's knocking out those classes. Let this be known throughout all the land that the state of New Jersey finally figured out that people could have concealed weapons. That's right, they've allowed people to have concealed weapons in the kingdom of New Jersey. And Karis is jumping on it and making a fortune. And one of the best trainers I know, over 20 years of experience, Sepulveda, Sepulveda Inc. Look them up. Can't go wrong. Highly recommend it. And if you're in the South Florida area, don't forget my good friend Amado. He's down there at AAA Gun Safety. That's AAA Gun Safety. And for those that are out in the California area, that's AAA. That means AAA, gunsafety.com. And he's knocking out those classes for us down in Miami, in the South Florida area. Give him a call as well. And, you know, don't forget, OasisCreationsLV.net. With Yalitza, we always, that wellness is very important. You got to have a great mindset in knowing that you have to have wellness in your life, because if you don't, you will become more crazy. So give her a look over at OasisCreationsLV.net. So, as always, continue to pray for yourself, because without you, we have nothing. Continue to pray for your family, your community, for the law enforcement agencies that serve you, and most importantly, continue to pray for the United States of America. This is Alpha Mike, and I'll see you downrange.